Okay. Right. So, okay. Right. I want to try and give another talk. If he interrupts, I'll just come and talk to him. Right. Let's just talk to this guy. Let's just talk to this guy. Why are you running? Why are you running? You keep interrupting me. Why are you running away? Why are you running away? Why are you running? You keep interrupting me. Answer me this question. Why does Waraqa say to Muhammad that the angel that came to him was the same angel that spoke to Moses? Why does Waraqa do that?
Why are you celebrating?
Why does Waraqa say to Muhammad that the angel that spoke to him was the same angel that spoke to Moses? Why does he say that?
Why do you
answer the question and stop running away from the question? You interrupt me every week. Now's your chance to debate. Now's your chance to debate. Defend your religion. Defend your religion. So defend it. So defend it. You've got a religious obligation to give me dawah if I ask for it. I am asking you about Islam. Why does Waraqa say to Muhammad that it was the same angel that spoke to Moses? Answer that question. Answer that question. Why can't you answer that question? Why can't you answer the question? Why can't you answer the question? Why can you not answer the question? Why can you not answer the question?
What did Jesus wear?
Answer the question. Maybe one of you could answer it. Why does Waraqa say to Muhammad that it was the same angel that spoke to Moses that spoke to Muhammad? Why does Waraqa say that to Muhammad? Simple question. Why can't you answer that question? It's a simple question. Simple question. Answer the question.
We have two angels as well. Do you know?
Two.
No, we have an angel.
Two angels. Yes. Islam has two angels.
Oh my God. Every human being has two angels. One on the right and one on the left.
Not the question. Not the question.
What you're saying.
The question that I asked was, why does Waraqa say to Muhammad that it was the angel that spoke to Moses that spoke to him?
Why?
What's the point?
So here, what's your name, bro? Fine. Right, so can you answer the question first?
Why is the question so important?
So you're saying you don't know the answer?
I don't know the answer.
Right, fine. So I'll explain to you why it's important. This is why it's important. Because if you think about what that happens in that story, it tells you that the hadith is a lie.
You shut up.
Right? If you think about it, it tells you the hadiths are a lie. I agree.
Yeah, so...
But this is in Sahih al-Bukhari.
Yeah. So okay, the hadiths in Sahih al-Bukhari are really genuine, really.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
But if you think about this story, you can recognize that it's a lie. Let me explain why. Right. So Muhammad obviously has his encounter with the angel, and he doesn't know who spoke to him, right? The angel doesn't introduce himself, just throttles him a couple of times, runs back to Khadijah, says to Khadijah, hide to me. Then Khadijah takes him to her uncle, Waraqa, and Waraqa says, oh, this is the same angel that spoke to Moses. Now, here's the problem. How does Waraqa know? What is the qualifications that Waraqa uses from the description of Muhammad's experience to identify that that is the angel that appears to Moses? Because there's nothing in that story that would allow you to identify that it was the angel that spoke to Moses.
You don't know what Waraqa knew about the angel when he did speak to Moses.
Right.
For him to be comparing the two stories.
Right, yeah, go on.
You don't know what Waraqa knew.
Was Waraqa a Christian?
Yes.
Right, do you know...
Or was he Jewish?
No, Waraqa was a Christian.
Yes.
Waraqa was a Christian?
No.
Yes.
Following the Ibrahim.
So you're saying Waraqa was not a Christian?
Look at me.
I am looking at you.
I'm not speaking English very well. I got your answer full.
Yeah,
You
go
know
on,
how
go on.
Waraqa knows.
Yes, go on.
If you're coming with me, I will get all of those.
I'm stood right here.
Why is this question so
Right.
important to you?
Right.
It's my question.
And I'm answering that question,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You've asked a fair question,
Yeah,
you deserve a
yeah.
fair answer.
Yeah.
Because if you think about this story, it tells you that the hadith of the collection of Sahih al-Bukhari is filled with lies. And if Sahih al-Bukhari is filled with
On the
lies,
basis of
right, you've got to think it through. Waraqa says that he identifies the angel, but there is no basis on Muhammad's experience for him to identify
But you
that.
don't know what Waraqa knows
Right,
about the angel when
Right.
he approached Moses.
Two things,
You
two
don't
things,
know. So
two things,
How
two
can
things.
you disapprove of?
Waraqa was a Christian.
Yeah,
That's
go
the
on,
first
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
right?
No.
Right, right. You've got to prove it.
Okay, I will.
Prove it. Waraqa was a Christian. That's the first thing, right? Secondly, Waraqa is going off Muhammad's experience. He's going off what Muhammad says.
yeah.
And if you read that experience in the same hadith that I'm talking about, there's nothing in that experience that would point towards the angel that
You
speaks
still
to
haven't
Moses.
answered my question. What did Waraqa know
Right.
about when the angel approached Moses?
Right.
That he compared it with when the
Right.
angel approached Muhammad.
Yes.
For you
Yes.
to disapprove of it.
Yes.
And say the Sahih al-Bukhari is all
Great.
bullshit.
Yes. Fair question, so let me answer it. Follow.
had the chance, you didn't
no,
answer.
no, I did. You've asked
You
a
went
different
around in
question. No,
circles.
you've asked a
Go
different
on,
question.
Go on.
Yeah? You've asked a different
on,
question.
yeah.
You keep up with the conversation.
Go on.
Right? The fact is, Waraqa, the only information that we have about the angel that spoke to Moses is in the Old Testament. Right? If Waraqa is pulling information from anywhere else, he's not pulling it from any revelation.
what is
You
the
asked
information?
one second. You asked a question, it's now incumbent upon you to listen to the answer. The information that we have about the angel that speaks to Moses is in the Old Testament.
What is that?
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Stop interrupting. You asked a question. Let me finish answering your first question before you ask a supplementary question. That's fair, right? So let me finish. So the information about the angel that spoke to Moses is in the Old Testament.
Yep.
If Waraqa is pulling that information from the Old Testament, then that means the angel that spoke to Moses is God, because that's what the Old Testament teaches. If Waraqa is saying that the angel that spoke to Moses is the one that spoke to Muhammad, then that means that Muhammad
There's
met
no comparison.
God. Exactly.
There's no comparison.
Exactly, because Muhammad and Islam doesn't teach that Muhammad met God in the cave.
I know what you're saying.
You're saying it was the angel Gabriel in the cave.
There's no
and there's
comparison.
nothing in the Old Testament anywhere to tell us that the angel that met Moses on the mountain was Gabriel.
You're just repeating yourself.
Right.
now.
No, I've answered your question. Now, go on.
Question. What was in the Old Testament?
Yes.
What happened between the angel
Yeah.
and Moses?
Right, so Moses is down tending his flock. He sees a bush that's burning that isn't on fire, and he says he goes to investigate. He goes up, and it refers to the burning bush as the angel of the Lord. That's really important,
Yeah.
right, for later in this conversation, right? But then from the burning bush refers to himself as Yahweh, which is God, and gives his name as God and speaks as God to Moses, the burning bush,
Yeah.
right? So Moses is encountering God on the mountain, right? He's talking to God directly
Yeah.
on the mountain. He's not talking to Gabriel, because we both agree Gabriel is not God. Now, if Waraqa was saying that this is the angel that spoke to Moses, then you've got a problem. Because if Waraqa is saying that Gabriel spoke to Moses, there's nothing in the Old Testament to justify that statement. Nothing.
You're referring to the first day when Moses spoke to God directly and
On
revealed the revelation.
Exodus chapter 3, yes.
and received the revelation.
Yes. And also in your Quran, Allah
I
speaks
understand.
to Moses
I
in the Quran.
understand. But when Waraqa spoke to Prophet Muhammad and said it doesn't compare,
Yeah.
he didn't specify that day.
No, he did. Because it did because What
He just says.
Shall we get that out of the hadith?
He just says this is the angel that spoke to Moses. He doesn't say this is the angel that spoke to Moses on that day.
Right, one second.
So he could have spoken to Moses in other times.
Right. So that 1 second.
He didn't even say that. He just said you will be the next prophet because I.
No, that's not true. You're lying.
Brother, okay, so.
I'll show you the hadith.
Bring it.
Because you're making things up.
bring it.
You're both making things up. Yours is an ad hoc rationale, and yours is a misrepresentation of the hadith.
The hadith doesn't speak about that day.
No, it does.
No,
listen. Let me.
Not from what you've said. to me.
Listen, right? So the hadith, literally, Khadijah takes Muhammad to Waraqa to talk about his experience in the cave, right? That's the context of Waraqa's statement. So when Waraqa says it is the same angel that spoke to Moses, he is talking in the context of what Muhammad has just told him about his encounter with Gabriel in the cave.
I have a question for you. How is this relevant to the prophecy of Muhammad?
Right. Here's how it's relevant.
How have you X'd
Fair
everything
question.
Because
Yes.
a mistake was made by Waraqa,
Yes.
not Prophet Muhammad,
Right.
or not the Quran.
Great.
Yeah, so how did you just
Yeah.
X the whole religion based on that?
Right. Here's why it X's the whole
Yeah, go
religion,
on.
right? Because the reason why Muhammad believed that the angel that was speaking to him was from God is on the testimony of Waraqa. It was Waraqa that convinced him
so it wasn't-
that he was a prophet.
So it
Let me
wasn't
finish.
The miracle of
Let me
seeing an
finish.
angel, it was.
Do you believe that demons can appear to people?
I don't know.
Right. Well, we do.
Yeah.
As Christians.
Okay.
So just because you see an angel, because for us all demons are angels.
I don't think you can see the devil
Well,
in its form.
well, Muhammad claims that you can. He says he looks like a rusty black man, but that's
Yeah, but you're not a.
yeah.
Muhammad is a prophet.
yeah.
So
He's a man, just like you.
So he'll have more. Probably he was being exposed to more miracles. And
Yeah. You asked a fair question.
You're just an average human being where he's.
But you asked a fair
We
question.
believe he went to the heavens.
You have asked a fair, that's. I don't want to move too far away from the point that I'm making, because your question was, how does this X Islam? I'm trying to explain why X is Islam, why it cancels Islam, because the reason.
You explained it to me.
Go on. What did I say? What did I say?
Because Prophet Muhammad,
Yeah.
off what Waraqa said,
Yeah.
why he believed that was the angel.
Correct. That's exactly why.
So you've ignored the fact that he saw an angel and spoke with this angel direct, but he only believed that was an angel because Waraqa told him.
Did Adam and Eve speak to Iblis in the Garden of Eden?
If I say now,
Answer that question.
If I see a dinosaur right now,
No, you're not answering the question.
no, hang
You're
on, one
avoiding
sec,
it.
one sec. I'm telling you what your argument sounds like. If I see a dinosaur
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
the only way I'll know if that's a dinosaur is because you told me so, not because I saw it with my own eyes.
Right. You can
That's what
see.
you're saying.
Wait. Firstly, everyone can see a dinosaur if they want to. Just look at crocodiles and alligators and sharks. Sharks were there before dinosaurs. So if you want to see dinosaurs, there you go. I've just given you 3 examples. But that is not what I'm saying, and you've mischaracterized the argument. What I actually said was this. Is that because Muhammad went to Waraqa, and Waraqa lied to Muhammad, spoke erroneously to Muhammad. Muhammad believed that these visions of a demon, were visions sent to him by God.
This is not a lie because in the Quran, it says that the angel Jibril spoke to all prophets.
Yes, and who
So
told Muhammad that?
It's in the Quran, which is the word of God directly.
Given to Muhammad by who?
By God.
By the angel Gabriel.
Yeah.
Why did you misrepresent your own faith?
By God.
Stop trying to misrepresent your own
By
faith
God.
to me. In other words, what you're saying is the angel Gabriel, who only says that I'm the angel Gabriel, who Waraqa actually said was the same angel that spoke to Moses, and that's why Muhammad believed that he was the angel Gabriel. That angel Gabriel said that these revelations of the Quran are being sent by Allah.
How do you know?
Why? Wait.
Hang on a second.
Wait,
How do you know?
based on the false assumption.
How do you know?
Yes.
That this is the reason why Muhammad believed that was the angel Gabriel because Waraqa told him. How do you know that?
Right, because
How
I'm
do you
going
know?
to answer that question.
Yeah.
Because when he first encountered this demon in the cave that assaulted him and attacked him, which, by the way, replicates perfectly what Christians say demons do, and you see that in the Gospels, demon possession, they attack the person that they're trying to possess. When Muhammad has that encounter with a demon, he initially thinks that it is a jinn that is trying to possess him. And he hides from that jinn, he hides because he's afraid. He doesn't think that it's an angel. His first instinct is to say that it's a demon, that it's a jinn, that it is like a bliss, like the shaitan, who you also believe is a jinn. So in other words, Muhammad's first instinct was to think that this is one of the species of shaitan. And then he goes to Waraqa, who in his ignorance, stupidity or lies, tells him it is the same angel that spoke to Moses.
So the angel Jibril was the one who revealed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad.
No, that is not what happened. No.
Over time. I'm not talking about that day specifically.
Right.
Did the Quran, the perfect Quran, the 600 pages, perfect
It's not
Quran,
perfect, but okay, that's a side debate.
That you can't find the contradiction.
Side debate.
That you can't find the contradiction.
I can show you
And one
contradictions.
that has many miracles in it.
None.
Was revealed to God, to Muhammad, by a jinn or a devil.
Right.
As you're claiming.
Yes. So what I'm saying to you is that the imperfect Quran that has many contradictions and many errors in it was revealed to Muhammad by a demon. And the only reason why you believe that it was revealed to Muhammad by an angel is based upon the ignorance, based upon the ignorance of Waraqa. If you read Exodus chapter 3,
Have you studied the miracles of the Quran?
have you?
Scientific.
Have you?
Yeah,
Have you?
Yeah, I have a lot of them.
Right.
Not studied them, but I've come across them.
So you believe sperm is produced between the backbone and the ribs?
Have you? I don't have the education to answer that
Exactly.
question. But there's many miracles in
I
the
bet you
Quran
do.
that have been proven miracles by scientists,
No.
not disbelief or
Right. Let me prove to you.
Who hasn't even read the Quran.
Let me prove to you that that is also wrong. Because in the Quran, your Quran, that you're saying is perfect and without error, it says that sperm is produced between the backbone and the ribs. Now, you tell all of us, educated people, where is sperm produced?
I don't have that education.
Right, he's just admitted.
I don't have that education.
Thank you.
I'm not a doctor.
All right, listen.
I'm not a
Listen,
doctor, I'm not a scientist.
listen, right?
But
Listen.
it has been
One
proven
second.
by
No, one
scientists,
second.
Scientifically proven.
One second.
That the
One second.
pregnancy is 7 stages.
One second.
And one of them.
One
is-
second. Right? He's just admitted that he doesn't have the education to say where sperm is produced. Put your hands up if you agree with me that sperm is produced in the testes. Right? Everyone around you is better educated than you. And everyone around you is better educated than your Quran, because your Quran does not say that sperm is produced in the testes. It says that sperm is produced between the backbone and the ribs. Now let me ask you this
How
question.
does it get to the test?
Let me ask you this question.
Maybe it starts there. And
No, it's produced in the testes.
I'm not a doctor.
It's produced in the testes. Maybe if
Can you
you...
prove that to me?
Oh my gosh, wow. Literally.
Prove that to me.
Right, I'm going to prove it to him. Okay. He wants me to prove where sperm is produced, and whether sperm is produced in the testes or somewhere else. But let me just ask him this simple question first. Where are the testes found?
I think we've gone off track now.
No. Oh wait.
I think we've gone off.
He's asked me to do something. But-
A scientific point that's kind of boring.
Answer the question, where are the testes found?
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. You're asking me questions that are out of my league.
Right. He's just admitted, everybody, that he does not know where the testes are found. Put your hand up if you agree with me that testes are found in the ball sack between your legs. There you go. You're getting a good education
Now
in
you're being a
basic
smartass.
biology.
You're being a smartass.
Right?
Turning this into adolescent.
no.
Right. Where is the sperm produced?
Having a grown-up conversation.
We are having a grown-up conversation. Right. Okay. So, right. Hold on one second. Let me just find it for you. Look. As you can see from these diagrams, they are identifying that sperm is produced in the testes and then goes up and out of the erect Phalanx.
That doesn't say that. Show that.
All right. You're still doubting.
Show the camera what you're showing me.
I'm showing him literally a diagram of where testes is produced, but he wants to doubt it.
No.
Right?
No.
Okay.
What's your
One
point?
second.
Point?
He-
I don't understand. What's your point?
You need to keep up with the conversation.
There's an error in the Quran.
You need to keep up with the conversation.
Error in the Quran.
You need to keep up with the conversation.
Enjoy the debate, please.
Right.
You're showing me a diagram, a
Right.
picture.
Sperm is produced in the testicles
Yeah.
from AI Overview. Right? AI Overview that has access to the entire internet says that sperm is produced in the testicles. Right? So now let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Are the testicles between the backbone and the ribs?
I don't know.
You don't
I
know.
don't know.
Wow.
My area, you're not understanding.
Wow.
You're asking me.
I'm pretty sure that you know that testicles are between your legs.
Yeah, I know that.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, he does know it. He's just admitted he does know it. Thank you. So you were lying the first time, but where does the Quran say sperm is produced?
I don't know the Quran off by heart.
Oh dear, you really are in trouble today, bro, aren't you?
You know the Bible off by heart?
Right. It's fair enough. You don't need to know the Quran off by heart, so let me show it to you in the Quran. Okay? Let me show it to you in the Quran. Have you got your Quran with you?
You've X'd the whole religion off the basis of Waraqa,
Yes.
not a prophet, isn't mentioned in the Quran, isn't mentioned in Hadith,
Yep.
and you've X'd the whole religion.
And that's why Muhammad believed that he was speaking to the angel Gabriel, because of Waraqa, who was not a prophet and an ignorant man.
Muhammad believed he was speaking to the angel Gabriel because he saw him and he had confrontations with him.
Right.
Okay,
So,
you stick to Google, okay?
yeah. Let's
nice to meet you.
you look after yourself. You look after yourself. Right. So as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, Muslims can't defend their religion when you challenge them. Waraqa is the one that convinced Muhammad that he heard from an angel from God. And Waraqa says that that angel was the one that spoke to Moses. The problem with that is that the angel that spoke to Moses was God and is identified as God in Exodus chapter 3. If, ladies and gentlemen, it is the same personage that speaks to Muhammad that spoke to Moses, then that means it is not the angel Gabriel. And if, ladies and gentlemen, Waraqa is saying that it is the angel Gabriel, where is he getting that information from? What source is he using to identify the angel that spoke to Moses as Gabriel? Either way, Islam ends up false, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to move over there if one of us wants to ask me any questions while I give a speech.